Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a Lot, and y'all see who we got in the building. The one, you understand? We got the one and the only I in the Middle Media Publishings LLC own the one. Just for today. Okay, we got the one. I got to put the one finger up so y'all can see the emphasis in what I'm saying. We got Her Majesty, author extraordinaire, visionary, motivator,
Too kind, too
and
kind.
creatress, Uniqea Monié in the building here on Do the Knowledge Radio.
Peace,
Peace and
peace.
love to
Thanks,
you,
brother.
sis. What's going on? How you doing? How you feel?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm I'm blessing myself. Hopefully my cup is running over and I'm blessing the universe while I'm at it. You know?
Right?
That was the best intro I
Look at
ever
Brittany.
had.
Brittany like, hello? What's up? Like I've been waiting. We here, Brittany. Thank you. We are here. We
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 was on
on
our
right
own
now.
clock.
Yes. So let's start with the introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can go from there.
Well, I'm creator and owner of my own company, Les Nobodies business. Um, it's a Our motto is nobody's or nothing, nothing is everything.
Mm,
And the purpose of it is to unify all elements and bring to light that all beings on this realm are interdependent. And I do that through different forms of art. I paint. Me and my family, we do jewelry. We paint together. Me and my son, we do a book club on YouTube. Less Nobodies. We have a page
mm,
on YouTube, so you can check us out there. We do a handful of things, under this, but we, express it through art. And I just finished my first kids book, Show and Tell, and it's
mm.
finally out. It's published through I in the Middle Publishings LLC, and I'm very proud of it. Very proud of the finished product. So yeah, lots been going on, man.
All right, so let's get into that. How long have you been writing? What motivated you to take the art form, thought form, and put it into physical in the realm of alchemy that we call the written word?
Oh man, how long have I been writing? I've been writing since I was in like elementary school. I've been writing poetry, submitting in poetry contests and
Mm,
things like that. I've been doing that since grade school. So, the passion has always been there. Um, as far as the book thing, a couple years ago, me me and my dad and my siblings, we have our own like little text message group. And
mm,
my dad's always shooting ideas, different business ideas and things like that. Um, and one day he was like, someone should write a children's book. And that idea just kind of like stuck with me. And I was like, oh,
mm,
okay, I'll do it. Like, I'll try it. So I can't even tell you how the idea came about. I think it was just like, I just get these random, aha moments, where like a thought just comes to me and it makes me feel a kind of way and I just run with it. And that's just what happened. It just came to me like, my book is about a teacher utilizing her show and tell time to allow the children to share their culture. And I
mm.
was just thinking like, what's a cool way to, bring a certain level of education to promote unity. And that's just what I came up with. It was just like a stream of thought. It's I can't even explain to you how it happened.
Daddy said somebody needs to. I'll do it, Dad. Hey. Shout out to Dad. You understand?
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
dad. My dad got the first page, my dedication page. It says thanks
Mm.
dad. So he got a whole page to himself.
That's beautiful. So, what was that process like for you, putting these things together, and what was the inspiration behind this? Creating this character to, bring the best out of their students.
um So the process behind it was, first I found like 10 random places all over the world. I just looked at a map
Mm-hmm.
and I randomly pinpointed it down like on Google Maps when you like go out to the world map, and then I would just pick a random spot and just keep clicking it until it was a random, and that was the place I picked. So the places I picked was at random, but what I did was I did research on each place. I did as much research as I could on the history, the present, what's going on, who lives there, what kind of money do they use, what kind of religions do they have. I just, tried to learn as much as I could. And then I took the pieces of information that I found from each place and I made a poem about it. I
Mm-hmm.
put the information together, made a poem. And then once I had like the story structure down packed, I was able to edit the poem form of it to make it seem like children were talking and, a
Mm-hmm.
teacher was speaking and things like that. Um, I grew up on Shel Silverstein and Dr. Seuss. So like
Mm.
that, the
Okay.
rhyming, I love it.
Right.
I remember in middle school doing Shakespeare, like that iambic pentameter, like I loved it. I thought it was great. So like, and again, I've been writing poetry since elementary school, so it just came natural. As far as being inspired, at the time that I was writing the book, I was a substitute teacher. So
Mm.
I kind of was just like
Okay.
in that space, like, I went to a lot of schools and I always liked school when I was a kid. So it was just kind of a lot sometimes, but a little disheartening to see some kids just not enjoying learning. Like I get not liking school. School's not for everybody, but not liking learning. And
Mm.
I just wanted to try to like configure a way to make learning fun, you know? So that's where I was coming from with that.
Mm. That sounds interesting. How you able to bring all of the worlds together and pull on all of your strengths and to bring it together at a time and space where you were looking to be most impactful, and look at that, big bang that came out of that process right there. I think that's very, very remarkable. And that is a very, very underserved type of need that's there. You see what I'm saying? So, um, hopefully, in my crazy mind, we get to see like some kind of animation from what you created, or some kind of web series, some kind of read along device,
Yeah.
or some kind of technology that's incorporated in it, for our young people to, read, and the other part, comprehend what they read. So it's either you're real good at one, or you might be, better at the other one, but bringing those synapses together to,
Hmm.
build a bridge of self confidence and self mastery. you know, You'd be surprised at how many adults don't want to read out loud because they never read out loud when they were children. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? They might read and it sounds great in your head. And all of these things come from those limitations that's placed, not wanting to read out loud, not wanting to sound stupid, not wanting to answer questions, ask questions, all of those
Hmm.
things that are naturally in your mind, particularly with our people, that inquisitive nature, that creative nature, that take the stuff apart and put it back together, no instructions. You see what I'm saying? All of these geniuses are, shrouded, in different places because they're not celebrated, they're not honored, and not in their peer group, and not by the adults. Because one, you've been a substitute teacher. It's one teacher to 20 students in a good
Hmm.
space. You see what I'm saying? It should be like one teacher to 7 students.
Hmm.
So you got double the course load. You have no time to really bond with any children. You're there. It's like a, one night stand type of situation. You see what I'm saying? So you don't really even get a chance to. It's like, oh, so it's like, all right, done. All right, next school, next whatever, whatever. Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? Are you
Hmm.
available? You see what I'm saying? So you never get an opportunity to, you know, you may make an impact along the way, but not to see the residuals. So yeah,
Right.
I don't. And I don't even know if they allow you to teach anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if it's
They
not,
don't. They
Yeah,
don't. It's sad. A lot of it is about test scores. It's
right.
really all about numbers right now.
That's a money thing. That's really a money thing right there. You know, everybody's handcuffed. There's not enough money. You know, you're
Hmm.
spending money out of your own pockets a lot of times. And, you know, this was the greatest thing that you could ever do outside of have children, which is to educate children. You see what I'm saying? So now these both of these things in this type of society becomes a chore, like a task, like a burden, like a real numbers game, like a bill. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, all of these things together. So I'm glad that there's still motivation to create change and to accurately depict, history, tell a story in a way that motivates, our youth to want to learn. So commendable.
Hmm.
Um, I said all of that stuff, but then I'm like, so what do you want to do next with what you create?
Um, I want to do more books. In the back of the book, I have like a sheet, and I give, the children that read the book the opportunity to write their own information about where they're from, and submit it. And with that, I would like to, use some of them and sharing in my next book. I plan to do a lot more. This has been like a great learning experience for me too, because it forces me to research places that I never even thought knew existed. So it's, building something in me too. And I love to learn. So, you know, selfishly speaking, I'm doing this for me too. But yeah, I plan to do a lot more of these. The animation, it's funny you brought up the animation thing, because I've actually been, learning how to use like different programs and things like that now, so I can add animation to some things. Because I have a few literature projects coming out that I want to, animate. It's a lot easier to do than having like, people in person, acting it out and trying to make scenes and stuff like that.
It's a lot to do with it, and once you do one thing, you could see a bunch of other things. Like, each of your characters could have their own journey, their own trip. You could get some young people together and make a play. Like all of these
Mhm.
things that we used to do when we were young. Um, it Everything feels forced. It's not, genuine. I tell the story before, like uh, the movie The Wiz. I don't know if you ever saw the movie.
Mhm. That's a movie.
Yeah, it was one. Yeah, it was a movie back in the '70s, like '79. It came out. I don't know. People probably saw the Broadway show with Queen Latifah and them in there. But when I was young, that was, that still is one of my favorite movies of all time. So we had got the stuff together to make the play. We made everything. We built everything. Everything. All of it. We got all of the parts. We had the records. So we were
That's so
prepared to do the play, and they said we couldn't do the play. You know,
hmm.
I think that was like one of the worst days of my life as a youth. I was upset. I got in trouble, got suspended. You understand? I was like, we did all this work, and then you said we can't do the play. I was mad. So I was real, real mad. So just even in that environment, uh, it was still opportunities to show your genius, to show your brilliance. It was like we don't have no money to do the play, and we found everything to make everything. We made costumes and all of that. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think I was just like the frustration for the entire class. But it didn't go over well. I got in a lot of trouble. But for me, it was worth it to take a stand for what you believe in. So I think it was pretty interesting. But I'm just glad, like I said, I'm repeating it again, that someone like you was out there that comes from a family where you know this type of creativity and no limitation on the imagination. To see that out in the world, it's like a breath of fresh air. So you know, Indigo was right. You was the one. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the one, like the one. You see what I'm saying? Um, so for these other things that you're working on, have you identified some kind of timeline, or is it still like secret squirrel stuff going on right now?
Um, I have so much stuff going on right now. I don't really have a timeline right now. I'm still coming to like reality that this book is out and it's here, and I'm just trying to let the world know about this one right now. I did start working on the next book. I won't lie about that. I already started working on it, but it's just a little bit here and there. Right now I'm just, I'm trying not to juggle too many things at one time because I want everything to get the love that it deserves. So right now I'm just trying to give this book the love it deserves now that it's out there.
So how has the reception been? Are there bookings? Can people book you? Are you doing book signings, or how is that working out for you?
Um, I've been getting really good feedback from the people that have read the book. People are really excited about, the places that I'm going to do next. I got a lot of input like do this place next, do that place next, and that makes me happy because that's my goal. My goal was to get people excited about learning. My goal was to, introduce that idea of learning about other places outside of, the places that are always being, drilled in our head, or, the resort places that we, know off top, you know what I mean? Um, so that was the goal. I definitely been getting great feedback from the readers. I'm definitely open for book signings, interviews, and things like that. I have no problem with attending events. I went to a few events this past weekend, actually. I have a horror series. I have a preview out now that I'm, just passing out and about. But I have, a chapter book coming out, for my older readers. And I just got a lot of good feedback, down there talking to them and introducing them the idea of show and tell and turning it into a book series and things like that. And it was really good sharing thoughts with people down there. Um, so yeah, I've been getting really good feedback. I'm open if anybody wants to book me. I'm definitely doing that too.
Hint, hint, book. Hint, hint, book.
Right. Hint, hint.
Um,
Wink, wink. Um, yeah. But I have a few things because the springtime is coming, so it's like events galore right
right,
now. So I do have some
right.
things in the working for April and May. It's nothing set in stone for me to give out details yet, but definitely if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Les Nobodies Collection, you could definitely stay up to date with that.
All right, I'm gonna have you repeat that again at the end, the social media stuff, and
Hmm.
um, what did you say your availability for interviews? Because some of my people are watching, they have platforms, things like that. So I could introduce you to some of the people who have some of these platforms, and y'all could work out availability.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have open availability. Like you said, I'll repeat, my contact information at the end. Just shoot me a message, and it's a case by case basis. We can work something out.
All right, and for people who want to book you for events, or maybe they got some youth that they have together that they're working with in their community. They want you to come out, you know, have some story time with them, or
Hmm.
have some show and tell with them. How would they do
Right.
that? How would they do that?
Definitely. Definitely. Just reach out to me. We could work it out. We could work out the details, on a case by case. I'm definitely open to all of those things.
All right. So we will figure that out. All right. We will figure that out.
Yeah.
Because we're going into the spring, and then before you know it, it's the summertime. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So those dreaded months, people don't know what to do with their children. So good opportunities to do like the sack lunch thing, do the
Hmm.
library thing. So there's endless possibilities around that, and this is really just getting into that circuit. You know, um, don't limit your scope. There's a bunch of places you could go and be, and you'd be like, hey, now that I'm booked, man, hey, you about to catch me in the fall, fam. You understand?
Right.
I'm booked. I'm booked. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, definitely. Um, so what's the situation been like with the parents? How have the parents received, you know, the information that you brought forth in the book? And how cohesive is that relationship in regards to reading, with the children and the parents or whomever is the guardianship, what have you found from that experience that you can share?
Um, well, speaking from personal experience, when because I have, two sons, and my oldest, he's 13 now. He kind of like watched me every step of the way create the book.
Mm,
And that kind of influenced him with the little things, the different things that he creates on his own time. He's really into anime, so he creates his own characters with
of
backstories
course,
and all
of
that stuff.
course,
And
of
then that's,
course.
and it's so odd because I feel like that's been his calling, because that's what he used to get in trouble for in preschool, and now he's 13 doing the same thing. I'm
Right,
still getting, emails about that.
right.
um, and then my youngest is 5, and I've read the book with him, a couple times here and there. And it's been cool listening to how they receive the book, from two different stages of life, two different mind frames, and the questions that they ask as we're reading the book. It it confirms that, my idea of trying to get people interested in, learning about different places, like, I'm really, making that happen, I guess, because they'll ask me more about a place, you know, they'll, put effort into trying to find out more about a place, or
Right.
like say they're watching one of their cartoons, or, reading one of their books or something, they identify that culture
Mm,
or that thing, differently now. And so, from a parent standpoint, I see the book doing what it's supposed to do. And for that, I definitely reach out to like homeschoolers, because, this is good for, geography and like
mm,
sociology and things like that, for those that,
right.
interested in teaching their children that. And as far as like my parents, like my mom has been like my cheerleader with everything. She developed a whole book club for my other
Mm,
book. She has her friends buying this book. Like my mom has definitely been my cheerleader. Um, and my dad is kind of like the guy that like plants the seed and sits back and quietly watches and smiles on the inside. So um it's been, I don't I don't know, like, from the inside of their minds, how they feel about it from their standpoint. But definitely for me, as a parent, and watching my kids and watching how inspired my children are from watching me create this book in the actual end product, regardless if I was the author or not, um, is definitely it definitely sparks that desire to self educate.
mm. Okay, so if you had to, excuse me, if you had to make a little list of some of the things that you learned about yourself during this process of, writing this book, marketing it, getting it out there, getting your name out there, getting reestablished, and things like that, from one book to the next, um, what could you share?
Um, I have a Superman complex. Uh,
Mm,
I want to save the world. One thing that I noticed about a lot of the places that I research is their current state, um, is kind of terrorized to an extent, as far as like a lot of these places, their indigenous culture is in danger, or just their
mm,
livelihood, period. A lot of people don't have proper access to necessities, you know. Of course, I didn't write about that in the book because it's a children's book, and you don't, want to make a kid's book morbid. But just from me taking that time out to research those places and looking at like their history, and coming to the present where the indigenous people's current state is now, is just it's disheartening. And I guess it brought to the forefront of my mind kind of how small I am, or how small my problems are, or how interdependent our problems are. That's a better term. How interdependent all of our issues are. And it brought to the forefront of my mind how I contribute to a lot of those issues,
mm.
just by like little things that I don't even think twice about.
All right. All right. So now here comes the other question. These other products and services that you provide, you and your family, what has that taught you, and what have you learned? What are your takeaways of being an entrepreneur, not just an author, but also an entrepreneur?
I learned, I had this misconception that it was supposed to be easy street. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, working for somebody else is so difficult, but when you start working for yourself, it just gets easy because you're doing everything for yourself.
right.
Being an entrepreneur, you have to learn that it's not easy, and it's not, once it's good, it doesn't stay good. That's
Mm,
not the reality. There's going to be times where you're at a low. It's going to be at times when you're at a high, and it's going to be a time where you're just at like a comfortable equilibrium. But
mm,
to expect yourself to reach a certain point and say, okay, I'm comfortable here, and expect every every step of the way to be at that point because that's where you're comfortable at, it's not realistic.
mm,
you're you don't stay comfortable when you own your own business. But that's the fun part about it. That's the exciting part about it, especially since you're doing it for you, and you're doing it for your journey and your growth instead of doing it for someone else's at a job.
mm,
So I had to learn that, like with me, I'm a perfectionist. If something doesn't look right or doesn't go well or something, once, I'm getting better now, but once upon a time I would have a whole meltdown.
mm,
And so while I was building this business, I first realized about myself because I didn't even notice that about myself. I didn't know I was doing that. I just knew I was always restless and anxious. But, first I noticed that about myself, and then I learned how to fix it so that I can accept when someone doesn't like my product, or when someone has something negative to say, or when someone doesn't agree with something that I said or something I believe in.
mm,
I had to learn to deal with criticisms and critiques. I had to learn that, every customer that I serve isn't going to like my service. And sometimes I'm going to mess it up, not on purpose, but some customers, I'll admit, I can honestly say I didn't give you the best service that I could have. It
mm,
was it You just came at a certain point in time where my business just wasn't where it should have been, you know, or my mentally wasn't where I should have been to give you what you needed. And you just have to be willing to deal with those things and accept those things so that you can keep moving forward instead of taking that as defeat and then walking away. A lot of
mm,
people, as soon as something bad happens or like two or three bad things happen, that's a cue to them to pack up their bags and leave. But that's not. Don't do that. Keep going, because the bad things are always going to happen.
mm. That's profound right there.
I just wish somebody would have gave me the realistic point of view of it all from the rip, so I could have been prepared. I feel like I was sold a pyramid scheme, and everything was just going to be like following the yellow brick road, and it was going to stay golden forever. But nah, you know.
Mm. Not a reference to following the yellow brick road. Now you got to go watch The Wiz. You know,
Yeah, got
you've
ease
been
on down.
cheated out of a whole life experience right there.
I watched The Wiz. I watched that.
You
That
did?
was one of the cassette tapes that I had on repeat. I mean, you
Oh
got me in
snap! There we
age,
go.
but
There we
my
go.
parents
There we
put me
go. You
on. They
said
loved
on the
me. I got the
cassette. That's what
culture.
I
I was
love
on
your
The
family.
Wiz.
Okay, I was about to say. You know, 'cause I thought people might have seen that whatever that thing was that was on Broadway with you know
Nah,
you seen the
Michael
set.
Jackson is the best scarecrow ever. Nobody topping Mike. And that's when Mike was the original. That was before anything.
For
Yeah,
anything.
that was the best Michael.
Yeah.
Mm,
So let's talk a little bit about your spiritual journey, if we can.
okay. I think it didn't start off as a spiritual journey. It started off as me learning about the government.
Mm.
and that
Okay.
Alex Jones phase and Mad at the
Oh man,
Wardrobe.
not the
Yeah,
Alex
that's how it
Jones.
started. And you know what? That started because my son, my oldest son, was vaccine injured.
mm.
And, he went to the doctors. One day he had a flare up. We took him to the hospital, found out he got his diagnosis. It was a whole thing, whatever. And I started researching the diagnosis they gave me. And one of the things was like he had a genetic disposition, but the vaccine triggered it. And I'm like, so why don't the CDC or, the state acknowledge the fact that you can have certain things in your DNA or in your genes that a vaccine can trigger? Like, why aren't they
Mm.
talking about that? That's holistic health. That,
Hmm.
we have to be mindful of the language we use in health too, like side effects and stuff like that. Like, no, everything in your body affects everything in your body. So,
Mm.
when you do something, it's going to affect everything in your body. So saying the word side effect is kind of like off-putting. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's why, they don't talk about what vaccines can do, because it's the word side effect is the word that they use. But if they use, a different term, then they would have to speak on it. And so, look, researching all that and stuff, that's what put me through the wormhole about the government. And then I had to
Mm.
learn, when I took him to the doctors, the cure that they were trying to give my son was some crazy stuff. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And I just learned what he could and couldn't eat and what he could and couldn't drink. And that put me
Mm.
through the spiral of food and water.
Hmm.
So it was just like a whole thing at once, just trying to help my son. And then it just went from there. It turned into like, once I was tired of being angry, I started running into these people that were like, don't care, be free, that stuff's happening anyway, love, one love, and all that. So then I went
Mm.
into the next extreme of just not caring and wanting to separate myself and one love and one with everything. And that was a little too extreme because I couldn't help but care, especially being a black woman and raising a black son that I wasn't vaccinating.
Mm.
And I had my son when I was in high school. So I was dealing with, the stigmas of that. And so I had to care about something. So then
Right.
that's what led me into learning about my history. I started talking to my dad's side of the family more. I started talking to my mom's side of the family more and trying to learn about like where I came from, my roots, who are my great
Mm.
great grandparents and stuff like that.
Mm.
And that's what led me to my spiritual journey. When I could pinpoint the ancestors and the grandparents to speak to,
Mm.
their, personality, where they come from, what they come from, that's when I was able to like identify my spirit. Like I was able to identify where certain things about me come from.
Mm.
And I just go from I just been going from there. I've been sharing a lot of my spiritual journey through like the books that I've been reading with my son on our YouTube page. Metu Netter had I read that. That was the first book we read together. And I think that was like such a big milestone. And that was last year, I think, like
Mm.
a little over a year ago. And that was such a big milestone in my spiritual journey that solidified so many things for me. And that was a big inspiration for my book, because it emphasizes on interdependence and how interconnected we are,
Mm.
despite what tribe we're from.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm in the residuals of that.
Yeah, this is the elevator, This is the elevator. Sometimes it's a train and, sometimes it's a paddle boat with no paddle.
Hmm.
You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, so, it's a myriad of things, but it's what it really is a process to see your level of commitment to your own development. You know, you have
Hmm.
spirit guides, you have ancestral guides, and we are here by their behest. We're here to learn a lesson, and we're here to complete a mission. You know, so many of these things, they take you through. As long as you get the lesson and the lesson from what you've done, because you're doing something that your ancestral lineage did not have an opportunity to do, you know,
Mhm.
or needed to do more of, and then you can get to you and what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? So you see that interdependency of what you're saying. You know, we're needed and they're needed. So we're
Mhm.
interdependent upon one another for mission complete and mission success. And then, the next generation, who they are, they have incarnated to be, what's their mission, what's their purpose. You see what I'm saying? So that can continue again. I think a beautiful thing that you said is that when I found my family, I found myself. You know, look at the
Mhm.
rivalry that exists in the dynamic of so many societal ills, especially for our people, centered around an identity crisis. You see what I'm saying? Not knowing
Mhm.
who you are, where you came from. If you didn't grow up with your parents, or you only had one parent, or you had no parents, and you grew up in the foster care system, you understand? Like all of these things play a dynamic role in your self conceptualization, even though the root of it is self. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't
Right.
know who the self is, you see what I'm saying? You are precluded from self. So conceptualization comes from everywhere but self, you know? So you'll be running around trying to be everything to everyone and nothing to you, you
Mhm.
know? So yeah. So that's, very honorable that you have taken who you are and put your cape on, Superman, and you're saving the world out here. One story at a time, one book at a time, one excuse me, one family at a time, one child at a time, one adult, whomever, along your path. So I think that is very, very amazing. So I
Thank
guess my
you.
final question would be, if you had all of your spiritual children in the room, indiscriminate to age, what message would you give them?
I would tell them to be in the world, but don't be of it.
Mm, all right. So, final thoughts, remarks, shout outs, acknowledgments, plugs, social media, all of the whole commercial, let them know where they can find you, how they can support you, where they can get the book, how they can book you to book the book for the books. You understand what I'm saying? Anything you want to add?
um, I'm everywhere right now. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me on Les Nobodies collection. I also have at Sunshine Monet. That's Monie. Um, I'm on Facebook. Les Nobodies Business. Still Sunshine Monet, Monie. Um, my email is lessnobodies@gmail.com. You can email me there if you want to set up, a meeting, a interview, event, whatever. Lessnobodies@gmail.com is the best way to contact me. I also have a website. My email is a hyperlink to my email on that website as well. That's lessnobodiescollection.com. Up there, you could purchase my jewelry. I sell organite and crystal wrap jewelry. um, the thing with my jewelry is all my jewelry is unique. Each piece is unique. No two things are alike. They come with a full description of the crystals inside there and their benefits and features. I also have blogs up there explaining the moon phases, the organites, the metals, the crystals, and all that too. And I'm always adding blogs up there. You can
Mm,
also subscribe to my YouTube page, Less Nobodies. My son and myself, right now, we're reading The Alchemist together. We're
mm,
going over part 2 on this coming Monday. We read Metu Netter, we read The Science and Myth of Melanin. and
Hmm.
something else. I also read some books myself up there, and I also do zodiac readings every zodiac season up there. So I'm doing a little bit of everything. I'm a little bit of everywhere. If you catch me, I'm always giving out swag bags. That's another thing too. I'm reaching out to all small businesses. I always have swag bags on me. If I'm walking
Hmm.
past strangers, if I'm going to events, even if I'm going out just for fun, I always have swag bags. Inside my swag bags, I'll have like a free piece of jewelry in it. I'll have a sample to my herd book and a brochure with all my websites, all my information on it. I ask other small businesses if you have promotional material that you would like to for me to put in my swag bags, let me know. I was just in Atlanta over the weekend handing out swag bags to a bunch of people. I'll be in DC and Virginia next month. I'm always going places in between times. Hand me, send me an email, shoot me an email, let me know you want to be in it. The swag bags are free. So this is free
Hmm.
promo. All you got to do is pay to send it to me. And I'm gonna put it in my bags and I'm handing it out to people that cross my path. So, just hit me up for that too. And that's basically it. Doing a whole bunch of everything.
Right. You gonna shout out mama and daddy? You know they watching. You know they watching.
Shouts
You
to
good.
my mom, hi lady, and my dad, DJ Flair. um, Hi Zeke. Shouts to my kids, Deacon Miles,
All
Johnny
right.
Nobody. That's the king of Les Nobodies. Um, that's it. I don't really have too many people to shout out. Shouts to everybody that was watching, everybody that reached out, all the people
Right.
that bought the book. Thanks, guys.
All right. You know you're welcome back here anytime, and I will get in contact with you. Hopefully to link you with some people that have you on their platform as well to promote.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much again for having me on your show. I really enjoyed this. This was fun. This is actually the first interview I've ever done. So
Stop.
that was
Stop.
cool.
Stop. Stop. You ain't got to do it. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it was already the best.
Word. Honest, honest. I'm honest. Yeah, so you know you're welcome back here anytime. You know you could come through with the young kings if y'all want to read over here a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Give us a little of that flavor. Let them see our youth in action. You know, if you want to share his
Yeah,
thoughts about his journey, right here. You know, practice makes God.
sounds like a plan. You're absolutely right.
Right. Yeah, we love our youth over here. You know, those are our young ancestors return, our young elders. You know, going
Yeah.
through their developmental stages. So we honor them and we cherish them. So, all right, y'all, we out of
All
here.
right.
Peace and
See
love.
y'all.